experience. Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, the former National Security Advisor to former Vice President Pence, with us now. General, thank you for taking the time. What went wrong? If you had to cite one thing or that triggered all of it, what was it?
Yeah, Neil, thanks for having me. Look, to me, it's quite simple. We went in there for righteous purposes, to decimate al-Qaeda, kill bin Laden, which we did, capture Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind of 9/11. He sits in Guantanamo jail. That was our mission, and we did it. But for the next 18 years, after our first 2 years from doing that, we went into nation building, a huge mistake. Our American Army is not designed to do that. Our Army is designed, our military is designed to deter, and if deterrence fails, then we will fight and win on any battlefield. Instead, we tried to create a country that was ungovernable. It wasn't going to happen out there. Alexander the Great learned that in 327 BC. The British learned that. The Russians learned that. We didn't learn that. And we shouldn't be nation building. We tried to do that. We tried to make a country into something it was not, and it was a huge mistake. So I think when somebody looks at this, they really are going to have to look at, what did we do for the last 18 years? What were those decisions that were being made? And who made those decisions and why? Because it's a failure.
You know, General, the Taliban is apparently saying, the international experts say all the right things about working with people in the area to protect them. No, we're not going to do anything at the airport to get in the way of this exodus and all of that. And that they almost seem to be, exhibiting this, it's a totally new and different Taliban. But when the administration was talking about re-entering the international community, I'm not so sure the Taliban has any interest in either their nod of approval or their support. What do you think?
Well, it's always easy to talk when you're winning like that, and they're winning on the battlefield, and they know it. Look, when Trump picked up the phone and called Mullah Baradar was the chief negotiator for the Taliban. We actually got him out of a Pakistani jail to do it. He was the number one successor to Mullah Omar back when Mullah Omar and the Taliban were in charge. He was very clear. Trump was very clear to Baradar. You screw around with Americans, and you screw around with what we're trying to do, and we know where you live, and we'll come and get you. And he did not once but twice from the Oval Office. I'm never quite sure how that was translated, but I think he got the point. And so they understood what American force, strength, and will was going to do out there. And they see what we could do. They know we could come back and we can get them if something bad goes on. So they're doing exactly what I would do.
Would that response then, General, I'm sorry, would that response have been different under Donald Trump then, who actually wanted a May departure, not the one at the end of this month that the president is seeking? But if he had seen this action against the Afghan government.
Well, Neil, look, we had a conditional evacuation and movement towards getting out of Afghanistan. We had certain gates, conditions to be met. And the last one, before we left, and we were going to leave 2,500 troops plus 3,000 paramilitary there, was successful intra-Afghan talks between Ghani and the Taliban. Only then were we going to move out of Afghanistan, not before. And everybody knew that. Baradar knew that. So we had a conditions-based removal. They somehow didn't do that. So Baradar understood that, and it would have been totally different. We wouldn't have been in this situation. And when we said May, that's if that condition had been met. And they knew it, we knew it. And Secretary Pompeo has made that very, very clear on several of the programs on your network as well.
Let me ask you a little bit as well as we wait to see the president arrive at Fort McNair. He's going to the White House, General, to address the nation on this. What do you want to hear out of him?
What I want to hear from a president of the United States is that we will operate with force and strength behind it, and we mean it. If you do something that harms Americans, we will come and get you, regardless of where you were at. Do not mess with Americans. Do not mess with what we were trying to do, and go forward that way. You've got to push strength. That's the only thing the Afghan Taliban understands, strength, and you have to have that strength. We didn't show that. For some reason, we showed weakness. We tried to evacuate. We got people out of there. We shut down Bagram Air Base early, which we shouldn't have done. We withdrew air power too early, which we shouldn't have done. We just didn't do it right. And yet, when you do something like we're doing, you need to get it done right.
What if the people who are there can't do it right? We trained them for 20 years, invested, close to $1 trillion, to say nothing, have lost American lives north of 2,400.
Yeah.
They just weren't up to the task, period.
Well, Neil, I think that's really unfortunate. I don't know why we're blaming the Taliban, why we're blaming the Afghan soldiers. Look, we are the ones that said we were going to train them for 18 years. We're going to show you leadership. We're going to show you training. I think we need to reflect on what we didn't do and how we got to this position. I mean, when you think about it, that means somebody who was born 18 years ago is now an Afghan soldier, and we didn't get it right, and we spent 18 years there? Something's wrong.
Were they just not up to the task, though? Is it possible that some were just not up to the task, or there was division and fighting in the ranks and what have you, and people competing for all sorts of things, that it was an impossible task to begin with?
I don't think anything's an impossible task for the U.S. military if they put their mind behind it. I think it was how we did it. We tried to create an army and our like, and that was never going to work. We had to create a military that adapted to that situation, to that environment.
And it didn't work out. General, thank you very, very much. That first helicopter looks to have